What up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of These Corona Times. You are tuned in with Tiffany. And why y'all wiping y'all's noses? What's wrong with y'all?
Wiping my eyes.
I don't know.
We scratching eyes, we wiping noses. So
I'm excited. I'm just so excited about this MLK week day off. I'm coming to tears.
Well, let me finish
my day off.
You are tuned in with
Sorry.
Tiffany, Dr. Simone, and your boy Brandon, as always.
Why I get introduced last?
We have gone over this.
I don't know.
First of all,
I'm
you're
not
at the bottom
sure.
of the box, okay?
I'm in the middle.
On my screen, I am top right.
Well, okay, on my screen, you're at the
You
bottom
need to move your people around.
Yes. Also, you're the boy. Okay, you're going last. Women before boys.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. And then we're older than you. You're the baby, so you go last. We're going in the order in which you were received. Okay.
Received into the world. That is so true. You are that's true. I'm the middle child.
Yes. Thank y'all for joining us. We're here for episode 31 of These Corona Times. Tonight's episode is called Black Power in These Corona Times. As we're getting ready for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, we wanted to take some time to highlight Black leadership. I'm not going to take over Brandon's orientation or anything for you, but just throwing out there our title. As always, before we jump in, we want to thank you so much for watching with us. We're so happy about you all tuning in last week about the watch party. You all were very vocal about your thoughts. It was a very active and lively watch party, and you can catch us every Monday at 8:00 because this year I'm determined to be on time. At 8:00 on Facebook at These Corona Times or YouTube at These Corona Times.
And we just got a new just like 23 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So
every day,
again, there's people liking the page, and we are so happy. We cannot believe, first of all, and we said this before, that every week there's topics. Like we were like, oh, we're gonna run out of stuff. No. There are always things to talk about. Moving on, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm particularly excited about next month. That's all.
Oh gosh.
Listen, y'all pray for Tiffany. She's trying to make a love month happen. Right. And me and Brandon we're just not
the whole haters, month. Guys. They're haters. That's why.
Call me a hater, yes.
But we have some really, really good ideas cooking for that. So I'm excited about February. So before that, we want to talk about self-care. How did y'all take care of yourselves this past week?
Well, I have been under the weather this week. I had a bit of a cold. So I've been taking care of myself by just staying inside, trying to be healthy at home. I have been loving on some Dayquil and NyQuil, and it has been blessing me in ways beyond measure. Just kind of get rest. Just trying to
I don't like the testimony with the Dayquil.
Sound like a fiend.
Brandon, you know what I was about to say. You know where I'm coming from, but then you threw me under the bus. So I did,
but I know exactly that NyQuil, boy. That NyQuil administered to you for real, boy. You think you're sick? It'll help you wipe that out in a couple days.
Yes, and I will admit here publicly, I'm a bit of a hard-headed person, so I don't take medicine as soon as the problem arises. I will wait until it's bad before I take anything. So, I was trying not to be stubborn about it and take some medication and try to rest and get better. So I'm feeling much better today, but I will say this is probably the most well-rested that I have been. I still worked this week. I worked from home, which was great. And, I felt productive. I went to bed early. I got up at a decent time. I feel like a new creature.
Welcome to the early bedtime. Welcome.
My early bedtime was 12:30.
That's good.
That's good.
There was less poloing going on this week because this was my first week of full work week back as well. So I was not happy about that. I met with my supervisor on Monday, and she was like, "So what's going on?" Nothing.
Nothing.
Had nothing for her. So sorry, Erica. I'll do better, tomorrow. Or no, Tuesday actually. Tuesday. What I did was I actually got ahead. So last semester, some of y'all know I'm a psychologist at a counseling center, a college counseling center. and I'm in charge of the training and the supervision for some of the practicum students. And last year I was not on my game. I was behind. And so I took the break and also this past week to get ahead and get my seminar prepared. So that was self-care for me because I hate not being prepared. So my self-care involved work, which is okay because it's going to make my life easier in the weeks ahead. So that's what I did.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I dropped my kids off at my mom's house. Uh, shout out to grandmas,
Nice.
man.
Yes.
Shout out to grandmas.
That will bless you right there. That's a whole ministry.
That right there was so clutch. So clutch. My mom has been just so great the last couple of months. And I've been trying to utilize her because she's like, give me the kids. And and I've been like, okay. And she every time I ask, it's like yes. And the kids enjoy it. I enjoy it because I'm getting a lot of rest. I took a nap yesterday afternoon. Didn't get up to like 7:30. Just really trying to get my rest up. And that's the one good thing that I've been doing the last few weeks is actually making sure that I stay rested, not just get rest for a week or so and then go crazy the next couple of weeks, but really staying in that mode of keeping your sleep up.
I know about some other
we thought about putting cadence. What'd you say?
I was gonna say I know about some other self-care that Brandon did this week.
What did he do?
MIA in the polos, and he wouldn't talk to us. He cleaned his dishwasher filter, so he was.
Yes, we saw that. I was like, ew.
I got to clean it a little bit. And yeah. That's my thing. That's my self-care. When I'm having a little bit of a pity party, that's what I do.
That is very true.
Here. You feel that bad? I mean, just come clean over here. Spread it around.
No, not so much. That's a good reminder though to clean that filter though. That's not bad. That's a good reminder.
What were you about to say, Simone, about Caden?
I was gonna say that we had thought about putting him on a Greyhound bus to his grandparents because he was really wanting to go. He was like, yeah.
Baby on the Greyhound. He probably would have been fine too. He'd be like, hey, watch it, fella. I'm sitting.
If only, because I've been jealous of the grandparent time that your kids have been getting, and I can't wait for that. So the first chance we get to come, that's what we're gonna do.
You know how many friends Caden will make on the bus?
I know. Yeah, no bus for him. Bus for him.
While we are here, I just want to point out that if you lived in Louisville with us, your grandparents are just down the road. I just want to throw that out there at you.
Just want to throw that out there. Yeah, thank you for that reminder.
Listen, we're gonna see Sean smooth in from the background saying no.
Exactly. So as we always do every week, we want to acknowledge a Black business person, somebody doing wonderful things in the community. And this week we are because it is tax time. Tax season is coming upon us. We want to acknowledge Veronica Luckett, who is our former pastor's wife. Miss V, as we call her lovingly. Veronica Luckett is the founder and president of Express Tax Financial Services. So she'll do your taxes for you. ETFS was developed in 1987 and it's located in Springfield, Tennessee, although she's doing everything remote right now, if I am correct in that. Yes. So she's reached hundreds of people in need of financial services. She got her education from Oakwood University, which is where Brandon went as well. Really wonderful university. Has just dedicated years and years and years to really helping people get their finances in order. She has a passion for empowering others through personal finance, debt reduction, risk management, and tax planning seminars. And her clients range from those with minimal income to small businesses, nonprofits, and even entertainers. She's got all the certifications, I assume a tax preparer needs. So, I mean, and it's all on our website, National Association of Tax Professionals, authorized IRS e-file provider, and a registered tax return preparer. I think we all use her services. I know me and my husband have used her services for years. And she, of course, used to live in Louisville, but now that she's, in Tennessee, we send her the information, and it truly is Express Like
Man,
Miss V will get your stuff done and get
that's
it done
real.
right. The money's
That's so real.
the direct deposit is in there. I mean, any questions or issues, she's like right there. She's wonderful.
She's on top of
It's
it.
some of the fastest turnaround time. I mean, I'll send her my stuff on a Monday. She'll get it in the mail maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. And by like the next Monday, she's like, okay, this is what I found. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
She's been great. I've been using her for the last 8 years, I believe.
Very secure too.
Yes.
The uploading system
is legit. Like,
yes,
it's not called Express Tax Services for nothing.
And we should have an insert with her picture on it. And the website is etfsusa.com. So if you have any questions about her services, please, check out the website, of course, but you can also ask us a question. If we know the answer, then we'll answer you and get you connected. But she's wonderful. So definitely want to highlight Miss V.
Definitely.
So Brandon, do you want to give us an orientation? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Orientation.
That's right.
Want to double back on something. So when we had Khalifa on Cooking with Callie the last time, she shared, or we talked about the possibility of doing a coupon code for our Corona Times listeners and watchers. So if you would like to order with Cooking with Callie, and there'll be an insert on the screen for this as well, you can use the code Corona Times, one word, and you will get 15% off your order. So thank you, Khalifa Alexander, for hooking us up with that coupon code, and I'm gonna slide my order in and use the coupon.
Yes. For the Valentine's Day dinner.
Not during the show.
Not during the show.
Right. I just want to say also, this is ginger beer. Okay. I don't want nobody, because my mama watches, and I don't want nobody, she gave me a talking to earlier this week about some other things. I just want to make sure she knows.
What kind of beer is that again, Simone?
It's ginger beer. It's not alcoholic. It is for people whose stomachs are hurting, and that's
okay.
Or people who just like spicy drink.
Yeah, exactly.
I
love
beer, extra spicy.
Okay.
So this is medium. I can't do the extra spicy, but anyway, Brandon. Now we need an orientation.
Can I go? So last week we talked about the insurrection attempt that we had at the coup. I'm sorry. One of the funniest things I heard was the Ku Klux Klan. I was cracking up when I heard that.
I hadn't heard that. That's perfect.
That was good. I said, I wish I came up with that. I'm just not clever enough for that. Yeah, last week we talked about the folks that tried to they got into the Capitol. This week, though,
help.
Right. This week they got we wanted to talk about MLK weekend MLK Day is tomorrow, or when you all watch it today, the 18th. And we want to kind of reflect on Black leadership and Black power during this time. And by power, talking about the votes, we have some stats up as far as population versus where the votes came from and things along those lines, and where we are when it comes to leadership, and how back in the day, the leadership was a little bit different looking than what it is now. It's a little more decentralized versus back in the day. It was kind of amongst a couple of key individuals. Now power is just spread out to everyone, and we want to talk about some of the pros and the cons of that and how that looks now, and is that really helpful for us at this point, or is it hindering us, and just a lot of struggles and a lot of things that we have as Black folks going on in spite of all of those things, how much power we're starting to wield around this country.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this topic, because I think we all are, looking to who's our leader at this time. And the truth is, you can be a leader yourself. It doesn't take as much as it used to back then. And as Brandon said, we're all kind of decentralized. We're not in the same places we were anymore. We're kind of spread out across this country. So, I think it's important that we look at what are the pros and the cons of leadership, and then how could we move forward as a people, just how do we get past some of these trials and tribulations that we're going through and kind of work together toward the same goal, or do we even have the same goal anymore? And I think that's become some of the topic too, as we talk about this discussion.
I think what's so important is, educating ourselves, and also educating some of our elders, because there's a lot of stuff that even some of them don't know. When I say that, I think about, when we think about the leaders back in the day that everybody knows, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X. There's so many other leaders back then, especially women, even Black trans women, that nobody really talks about and knows, their contribution. And so I think for me, as we're coming into this holiday, is thinking about, okay, yes, MLK is, so important. A central figure. And also, I want to know more. What else was going on behind the scenes that they didn't tell us? And I think it's especially harmful for dominant groups or white people. Like, they need to know what all was going on back then, who the other leaders were, and we have to just broaden our understandings, because I think for me, MLK Day for a long time was just, it's just a day off of school or a day off of work. And I really wanted to be more of an educational day, not just day, but just just lifestyle. And you're seeing a lot, if you scroll through Facebook and other social medias, you'll see a lot of different programs that Black people have kind of developed so that we can integrate more knowledge about Black folks in our everyday life for our kids. And I really want to spend more time doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think about, I guess we'll jump into it, on what MLK Day means to us. I was the same as you, Simone. You used to think about it as just like a day off, really. And as I got older, like in college, it becomes more of a day of service, like a day where you get to do something or participate in the program. And I wish it was more than just a day to like reflect on the I Have a Dream speech. Like, I know that was his big thing. That's the big thing he did. One of the big things he did. But it seems like, that's the one link that we used to associate with him with. But he did so much more. The march on Selma, the bus boycott,
the protesting,
the protests, the sit-ins. Like, he did a lot. He went to jail. There was a lot that Dr. King
stayed in jail, boy.
Stayed in the jail.
He was physically injured.
Yeah, injured.
And of course, killed.
Yeah. Of course, killed. And I often, like the last few years, I think I've used it as a time to just reflect on how would Dr. King feel? How would things have been if he had lived? Like, if he hadn't been killed? Like, would he still be powerful? Would he be revered? How does he feel about where we are today? Because I'm like, there's so many things that we have done where we've progressed. We've had a Black president. We now have a female Black vice president-elect that will be inaugurated on Wednesday. Like, would he feel proud of those things, or would he still see, like, given the coup that happened and all the Ku Klux Klanning, that we still have a long way to go until we're really equal?
I think if, correct me if I'm wrong, he'd be in his late 80s, early 90s. Right about now?
Probably. Yeah. Have to do the math there. I'm not sure. You're probably right.
But I'm with you. I it was a day off for me for a long time, but now I didn't really get into the whole service thing. As far as people like, we do acts of service on MLK Day. I was like, Black people, we didn't serve long enough. I'm not really trying to do that. But I have been listening. I look at programs on TV. And I've been listening to his speeches. So Spotify has a list of his speeches that you can listen to, and it's been like, when I started doing that some years ago, it was like, whoa, this dude was speaking. Like, he was killing the game. He is way more than just the I Am a Dream speech. Not downplaying the I Have a Dream speech at all, but saying he's more than that. But he be getting busy. He's not and what I learned, the great thing about MLK is he was very fiery, and I think that he has through a lot of what you call it, I think through white people and through society and white supremacy has really made him very vanilla, and has made him very even keeled, when he was the complete opposite. And realizing now that back then they didn't like him. Like, right now he's revered. Everyone, oh my gosh, MLK. Love
and this whole time there's a plot to take his life so he can stop.
But man, they
galvanizing Black folk. Yeah.
You look at like surveys and everything. Like, he was hated by white
They
people.
revere him because he's dead. He can't do anything anymore.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
No, if the white people who revere him now, if they was alive back then, they would have been wanting his head cut off and all kind of stuff.
Some of them were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. The people who were doing the coup, they definitely will not be celebrating tomorrow for sure. But, I think that the evidence of, I'd like to think that, he and other leaders would be proud. And I think that the fact that we had that coup happen, the fact that, so many people are trying to rise up to take their country back is evidence of the moves that we've made to take power and to take control. And, it's not even taking control. It's just having trying to get an equal voice. You know what I mean? And not have everything be so imbalanced. And that's what people are scared of. I'll call them the Trumplicans or, even other white folks, are scared of just having to share with the privileges that they've had for so long. So I think all this uprising that we're having is just evidence of, of the groundwork that he and others laid. And now we got this diverse group of leaders now that are doing the work in so many different areas.
Yeah. And you're talking about back in the 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s, I feel like the white folks only had to really compete with other black people, for equal things, or just that whole hoarding the power over them. But now there's so many more groups. We have other people of color, we have other minorities, we have folks in the LGBTQ community who are also at disadvantage. So there's so many more folks that I feel like those who are trying to keep the power are fighting against. I saw this really funny meme. It's from Django. It's from that terrible character Samuel L. Jackson played in Django.
Yes.
And it was
what you about to say.
They not mad about Joe. They mad about that little black girl that's behind him. So, because Joe Biden's a white dude. He's not gonna hurt nothing. He's not gonna mess up
that color gal.
Yeah, they mad about that color gal behind him. If something happens, she next. That's just
she's so next.
Yeah, and not even if I feel like there's such an issue of her being a woman, one, and then her being a woman of color, two. There's not many of these strong white men who want to be led by a female of any color. So, I think they're really having a problem with that, as evidenced by, what happened. They're even turning on their own. Like, we didn't touch on it, but I guess we'll say something about it briefly. But, we just recovering over last week's things that their goal, we're finding out more about the information coming through CNN or whatever, but their goal was they were going to get Pence. Pence is on their side. He's
hang him. Right.
They're just coming after their own at this point because they're it's terrible.
Yeah, fighting amongst themselves. And, so I'm glad I didn't see any counter protesters going on. I'm like, no, let them
handle that.
Let their little thing crumble on its own. But yeah, I think
stay out of white folks' business.
Yeah, let them exactly. Let them handle themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it's just really interesting too. If she does become the first woman president, she will have gotten that spot before any white woman too, which I think is really interesting. Because I know Hillary thought Hillary was going to get it, and I would have.
But her email,
those emails.
I know, right? What was even in these daggone emails? I still don't know.
They don't even.
But Hillary lost to a black man with a dark-skinned wife and a black family, and then she lost to Donald Trump. I just think it just wasn't for her. Love it or death.
You gotta retire after that.
But go back to when Barack ran again and John McCain was running against him. Like, he was doing so well as soon as he added Sarah Palin on his ticket. Now, granted, she wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. When he added Sarah Palin on his ticket, it kind of took him down.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be wonderful if she got it. But we were also talking about the fact that, like, what does it mean that we don't have that leader, like that one or two centralized leaders? Yeah. And I was just reflecting on how Black folks love a good speaker. Like, we love a good speech, a good sermon. I was watching Pastor Freddie Haynes. I think it was Friendship West Church in Texas. Y'all know who he is?
I don't.
Nope. He's a Black pastor. He is a fiery speaker. And he's always talking about racism and, of course, like talking about the Bible and God, Jesus, and just merging all that together. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he's a leader in the Black church, but a lot of us don't go to church anymore. If we're honest, we've got BLM. I mean, there's so many organizations now because we're so diverse, which we always have been. But I think our differences within our community are really on display right now. So we need leaders from different segments,
And one thing that I thought about, and not to go too deep into MLK's education, but he was a smart guy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But back then, it was rare for a Black person to go to anything outside of high school, and college, and even graduate school and doctoral degrees and things along those lines. That was something that was fairly rare back then, and I think now it's not like super common. But you have a lot of Black doctors. You have a lot of Black folks with masters. Heck, we on this thing right now. Tiff has 2 master's degrees. Simone has a doctorate. I think you have 2 masters and a doctorate, right, Simone?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we got some.
We're hoarding all the degrees here.
Yes,
we're hoarding all the degrees.
We are.
So, but back in the day, so now, I think with all this education and all this exposure, that there's just so many people that are just popping up with knowledge and with things to say, versus back then it may not have been as prevalent because there was such a gap in that education.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So there's so much I want to talk about here with this episode, and we've made notes, and we're going to probably be all across the board on this. But Simone mentioned something earlier about like how we're not really in church like we were back in the times of the Dr. Kings, of the Medgar Evers, of the Malcolm X's, which that was the centralized location. Like they would organize in church. They would come to church to volunteer. If something happened, they would go back to the church. We don't really have that anymore because many of us are moving away from the church. So how do we come together, and what are we coming together for? We don't have the same struggles like they had back in that time, which was just like having a good living wage, being able to ride the bus wherever they wanted to sit and whatnot, being able to sit at lunch counters. Seemed like they had like at least their top 5 things were all the same. Like our
stuff we take for granted for sure, basic everyday things.
Yeah. Can we even say with like clarity what our goals? Well, right now it's like stop killing us. That's probably number 1 for everybody.
That's one. Police brutality for sure.
Yeah.
But then what after that?
Well, because you have this very broad phrase, social justice, and social justice is so broad because it's police brutality, it's income inequality, it's
education,
it's redlining when it comes to buying property, it's
healthcare,
it's getting charged higher rates for interest, because of the color of your skin. It's
voting.
Voting.
Yeah, voting is not suppressing the vote.
Yes.
Right. So social justice seems like it's a big word. It's a key word that you hear a whole lot of, but there's so many things that social justice means, and it's hard because if you talk to one person, they're going to have their 5 things. You talk to another person, they're going to have their 5. You talk to somebody else, it's going to be their 5, and it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. And then you have like your feminists. You have your Black feminists, which should be, sometimes is very separate from feminism in general because we know there are issues with just white feminism and that, I know Brandon, you're actually reading a book about that. And then you also have some groups who are very, very much in favor of and support the queer community, right? So, Black trans women, or just, LGBTQ issues in general. Some groups, because of their biases, they don't support that, so they're not going for the rights and privileges for that particular group. So then that's almost like a disconnect for some, for your more churchy, more conservative groups. So, but we're all still people of color. So it's like, how do we bring it all home?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough one, man. That is a tough one. There are a few people, that were talking. Ice Cube had a thing towards right right before the election, I believe. He was talking about the black agenda and how he had talked with some people and they had come up with kind of like the black contract. And I think something like that. I may not have agreed with his with the way he did it, but I think there's some space for something like that to get together with some people who know history, who understand what's really going on, and come up with, some key things that I think would help every group. One of those, like as MLK would say, a rising tide lifts all boats. Something that will help whether you are black and affluent, whether you're black and poor, whether you're black and LGBTQ, whatever the case may be. You put together these policies, and it's going to help everybody.
So kind of like the passing of Breonna's law, which eliminates the no-knock warrants, and that's not just for here in Louisville. That's for other states that are adopting that as well to eliminate that. That does help more than just black and brown people.
Yeah, yeah, we need that. Yeah,
because the funny thing is, if you look at it, whatever is done to help black people subsequently helps everybody.
Yes, 100%. And
you
I
help
want us
black
to all
people,
keep that in
your
mind.
whole society is going to get better.
Yeah.
As
y'all were talking, I was just thinking, like, if I wanted to get involved in something, I honestly don't know where I would go. We have Louisville Urban League. I know that we probably have an NAACP chapter here in the city. I know we have a Black Lives Matter chapter here in the city. I can think of organizations, but I cannot think of a person I would really look to. There are so many. That's not to discredit. I think that goes back to what we're talking about, the decentralized. There are many folks who have risen up during this time that I've seen on our local news stations that, are shining as leaders during this time. But, do we need just one, or is it okay to have many? Because when they had just one,
they kill them off.
Killed,
Yeah,
exactly. If we spread it out,
can't kill us all, right?
Right. And it's almost like doing work in these silos. And I think there's negativity with that, but at the same time, you get all these different segments that are getting stronger, hopefully, and hopefully communicating with one another, which I know that's another issue within our community. Yeah. But maybe that's what it is. It's communication between, our groups. I don't even know what that would look like if that's too lofty of a goal, but I think in my head, I keep thinking about how the rioter, the insurrectionists, how they looked, and how we have that in our community, that backfighting and infighting, and we don't want to do that, So how can we stop doing that to each other?
What is it? The oh my goodness, the 4 agreements, and one of them is to assume positivity. I'm paraphrasing, but I wanted to assume positive talk. Like if I say something to you, assume that it's going to be positive, even though to you it might seem negative, but you're supposed to assume that it's positive unless it's explicitly known as being something that's negative. And I think that for the chatters and everything, I think everybody wants to be right.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to have the idea. And if you don't agree with what they do or how they want to get free, then you are against them.
Right.
And I think you can have a differing of opinion and still be collaborative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And before a lot of groups, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. And then, like you said, you have so many groups inside of just us, and it becomes tough.
Yeah. Tough. I had a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine, say we need to stop saying people of color and just say Black people. We need Black people to rise up. And I thought, well, all of us are not full Black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of us are all of us really are multiracial. But
would BIPOC be a good term here with that?
I mean, let's talk about yes. I mean, but they didn't want that. Yeah. I guess they're more of like a what do you call it? I don't know, I'm not gonna like put a phrase on it, but they just are really interested in Black people, which is fine. But just realize that's a wide range, and all and many, like Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris. She's Black. She's also Southeast Asian. She's married to a white man, so I think those are his.
She's Jamaican as well,
like
isn't she?
that's a multicultural family.
A lot of intersectionality there, one might say. Yep. Oh, Simone froze on this. Okay.
Oh boy.
See, this is what happens when you have
family, and so Jamaican. That's correct.
There she goes.
Am I back?
Yeah. Go ahead, Fisher.
So I just think that's the issue. Like, what do you mean? We're not all just both our parents. My parents are both Black. But if you look at my mom, you think something else. I know both their parents are Black, but that's a disconnect, And so if another person of color who was mixed race heard that, they're like, oh, well, you don't think I should have a part in the fight, but that's not true.
Well, that's also something. I mean, even I get all the time because I'm very light. I don't know if y'all can tell from this lighting, but
yeah, we can.
Yes,
I'm very light.
White.
My feet are white. But sometimes you get that the colorism, where you're not Black enough to, feel disenfranchised. You're not part of this struggle because you don't know. And there are different, like, I will not even push that aside. I think people who are darker complexions get treated differently than people who are light or hair with lighter hair or anything like that. So I'm not even gonna say that's not a real thing, but that's something that we still have yet to really talk about and deal with in our community in a way that is healthy. I don't say we don't talk about it, but I don't think we found any healthy solutions. And to go back to what Brandon said, what he was talking about earlier, I also think that people are hurting differently in this time and don't really know how to process those feelings or what to do with those feelings. And I guess I embody this in this example. When David McAtee was shot and killed here in Louisville, I was watching a live stream the next day, and his body was still in the place where he had been killed. And his family was coming to identify, and they were asking for a moment of silence. And then after that moment of silence, they started singing, and they were singing like "We Shall Overcome." And I could very vividly hear someone saying, "I'm tired of singing this song. We need to do something else. We need action." And I think that you just have these two split voices. This whole like, we have to do this the right way, legally. We have to get in office. We have to fight that way. And some people are just saying, "I just want to turn over tables. I just want to fight." And I think that's part of our problem too. You have people who are like, by any means necessary, and then you have people who are like nonviolent. We just have to keep pushing this around the right way.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. That's a very good point.
I don't know. I just feel like of course, we don't condone violence of any kind, and at the same time, I understand why somebody would be enraged and would be given to violence. I can logically see how somebody would get there.
Definitely.
And so I think that I'm saying like there's room for all of it. Like we need people who are making policies. We need the Keishas and the Stacey Abrams and whoever that Black lady is who says she's coming for Trump after he gets out of office. And is she in New York?
She in New York.
We got room for those.
She licking her chops for Thursday, boy. She ready.
And then we need the Chanel Helms on the ground. We need all of them. And I think what I would like is for us to not talk, what is it called? Backbiting or talking about each other. I watched a woman on this YouTube channel, and she was going in on Reverend Al Sharpton, who is a leader in our community for sure. And I don't know everything about him, but she was not happy with him. And I thought, ma'am, why?
That conversation in the living room.
Just have it right. Like if we got a problem, let's talk amongst ourselves. Let's not go on the airwaves.
Yeah.
You're gonna be hard pressed to hear me talk bad about somebody, one of my own, out in the open. Because we don't need that.
That's one thing that, I find interesting is like, we look at Dr. King and we talk about him because it's his weekend. He did some things that, he
did some things
unsavory, but it don't seem like we found out about it until years later. I mean, even for me, like years later, of course, none of us being alive when he was active and none of us being alive when he died. But it seems like that's a footnote. It's not the whole whole thing of him. Whereas
Right.
now someone like, and I hate to use this example, but he's just a big name. Someone like Bill Cosby, what he's done, that's all you're going to know about him. You're never going to know the other good things that he did, the chairs that he held at colleges, the endowments that he gave to students. You're never gonna know about that stuff because
can't eat Jello no more.
Can't even eat the pudding. I like
can't have a pudding pop.
Can't do it. Can't have pudding pop. Because he's because what he's done has overshadowed tainted. Anything else. It's tainted everything.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Simone.
No, that's it. I was just saying, yeah.
Going back to what you were saying, Tiff, about as far as you have some people who want to, for lack of a better phrase, burn it down. You have some folks that want to do things by the book. I listened to a guy on NPR some months ago. He made a connection to me that I really didn't make until he said it. He said that Martin wouldn't have been as successful unless Malcolm existed. And he said that he was like, because yes, Martin was nonviolent, but with Malcolm, there was the threat of violence. And that was what they were just like, well, we got to take this meeting with Malcolm, because if we don't, Malcolm might do, and his people might do X, Y, Z. So Martin needed Malcolm to get some of these points across and to be successful. So we need everybody.
Yeah, we do.
Because I feel like while people were behind the scenes, I was just going to use Louisville example because we've had a lot of social justice over this past year. While people were working really hard to disrupt traffic, disrupt the city, set up tents in Justice Square, have protests, there were also people behind the scenes like, okay, this is the law we want. These are the demands.
Yep.
But without those people applying pressure, and that's one thing they kept saying, like pressure applied. Without those people on the ground applying that pressure, I don't think nobody would take them seriously.
Right. And now those officers, they've been fired. We're still waiting on charges, but they have been fired. I mean, there's been countless cases where nothing happened. That still happens today. But the pressure from the political, from the street, I mean, social media, it all works. And I think that, of course, we have more that we need to do and to climb, but their old tactics that they used to use, like in the Jim Crow days and slave, like the intimidation, like, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to take this from you. That is not as accessible for a lot of us anymore, because if you try to scare us, obviously, Stacey Abrams, we're coming back hard. We're coming back harder, and we're going to take Georgia. We're going to, you know what I mean? Like, the old tactics don't work anymore. I think they need to re-up and do something different, because we do have segments of power and we're using it, and we're no longer allowing them to just scare us out of. And that's what this whole election cycle was, a bunch of fear. And it just did not work, and it's not going to work.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Simone, I'm looking at some of the notes right now, and Georgia, the population of Georgia is 33% Black, right? But over 50% of all the Democratic voters are Black. So look at all, that we showed out. We showed up, and it's people say, well, voting doesn't matter. No, it seems now that our votes have been suppressed for so long that we couldn't necessarily do X, Y, Z, but because of a lot of hard work from a lot of grassroots groups, including those of Stacey Abrams and those of her ilk, we're starting to get up out of there.
Yes, yeah, and it's so powerful, because the people who we were trying to, and I was doing it too, trying to convince other Black folks to vote, because there was a lot of people who was like, I don't vote, it doesn't do any good. It absolutely does, because the powers that be, like, think about all the judges that Trump put out there trying to pad the system. None of it worked. Like, the system did hold. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know how, but it did hold. I mean, he put so many people in these these judges. They could have done some trickery, but it did so. And now you have people on the other. Yeah, right. You have people on the other side. These white folks who think that this election was stolen. They're like, I'm never voting again. I'm like, okay.
This is probably the same thing Trump is.
More power for us.
Trump's probably at home this week, like, I don't know how, I don't know why. I put all these people in here so they can help me, and they didn't even help.
I messed up the mail. I got McMaster in there to mess with the postal service.
I did everything in my power to still wouldn't help me.
You can't stop us.
You know, I, for one, will admit that I've been very naive about the whole process of voting, just that because I've always been able to get off work for voting. You know, it's never been an inconvenience to me. It's a polling place down the street from, I vote with my grandmother, and that's what I'll be voting there because that's what my driver's license is. But I vote in that neighborhood, and it's always been a voting place down the street from me. We don't have long lines, you know, there's no waiting. And it's, you know, it's kind of hard when you're in that bubble to realize that some people really, they can't leave work and go vote. If they get off work, the polling place might be closed, you know. And I want to hope and believe that after this election cycle, that we really find a way to move voting from just one day. Like,
it literally doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense. It makes no sense. At least if you're not going to do mail-in, if you want to keep mail-ins the same and you want to leave mail-in voting for folks who are overseas or whatever, then at least let the voting be like a week. You know, open it up for a few more days. Let people have a chance to actually come, because it's not just that we were tired of what was going on this election cycle, but it's really that people had the time.
Yeah,
they did
many
have the
barriers
time
taken down for voting.
And they said that this was the most secure election that we've ever had, or that we've had in recent history. And we had our voting day, our election day, but then we also had the mail-in in I assume in most of the states. And I think you're right. We should have opportunities for people to vote, just more people to vote. If that's the democratic process, then stop making it so narrow, because it's our right. It's our right to do so. If we can legally do so, then we should be able to, and it shouldn't be, because I couldn't get off work, I missed it. No, that's not okay.
Obviously, we're leaving people out. I mean,
and that disproportionately affects us.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And we're starting to now see also the good thing about all this. We're starting to see younger and younger and younger politicians. And, you know, we talked to Keisha Dorsey, 6 months ago? No, it hadn't been that long.
It was a while ago.
It's been a minute.
Might have been 5-6 months. But she's 35. Then there is one of the younger representatives of Metro Council, Ja'Cory Arthur. He's 28. Then we got Cory Booker, who's gotten some national recognition. He's 36. It's just
Charles Booker.
I said Cory Booker.
I do that too all the time.
Good gracious. Yes, Charles Booker. Yes, he is 36, and we're getting younger and younger and younger. And it's not just a 50-year-old white man's game now. It's a game that anybody can kind of get into.
Absolutely.
First of all, I want to double back. Give Keisha her proper age. She's 34 for at least a few more weeks. Let her.
Oh, that's right.
Wait a minute. No, Keisha's 35.
Yeah, she'll be 30,
she's 36
in
next
February.
month.
36. Yeah. Yep. She ain't that much younger than us.
Oh, she's my age.
Oh, you're not 2 years behind us. I'm sorry. Okay. I take it back. I'll edit myself out. I keep wanting to give you 2 years, Brandon. I want to give you 2 years.
No, just one.
Don't put him that far behind us.
Yes, if you turn 37.
First of all, why are we talking about
that? Your birthday is literally like 2 weeks before mine.
Correct. This is true. I'm fine with it. I'm just trying. Simone is not happy with walking into 37, so I'm trying to get her into it.
My birthday is 6 months after yours, so I don't.
It comes real fast. When March is over, it's like it comes with rapid fire. It comes real.
I know.
But I wanted to say that Charles Booker's race was nothing to sneeze at. You know, he gave
Amy
McGrath a run for her money. Miss Maureen.
She wasn't ready for that. She wasn't prepared.
She was not prepared, and I think people thought he was going to be like, "Oh, it's not going to." He held it. I mean, they had a very, very close race. That of course we were watching for a few days because of the mail-in votes, but very, very proud of the run that he had, and I think that sets. I know he started his own organization after that, From the Hood to the Holler. And I hope he continues to be active. But as Brandon said, you need both of these pieces, because while people are out there marching, I know Keisha has been on the committee for some of these bills to be moved or whatnot. So, you need people in the seats at the table, and you need people out on the ground making the noise. So,
yeah. And we've got Senator-elect is it Raphael Warnock?
Yes.
He's only 51. That's not old.
No,
that's not old at all. And then the other one, Ossoff, I know he's not Black, but he's like what, 31, 33?
Young dude.
What's his name?
Ossoff.
I was looking at an article about a lady. I don't know what state. She's a senator. She's going to be running again. And when she finishes her next term, she'll be like 92. And there was a discussion about when should we put term limits on these folks? Because, I mean, that's the problem we're having now with Mitch McConnell, who's been in the Senate our entire lives. She's been there 36 years. And you have even Nancy Pelosi, and I like Nancy Pelosi, but she's in her 80s. Like, how long should these people continue to run and hold office? Because some of this is just the fact that they're kind of out of touch, like they have no idea. They're making millions. They have vacation homes, they have summer homes, they have no idea what some of these impoverished people are going through.
Right.
I love the idea of term limits. Love the idea.
Something I've heard a lot about, which I never thought of, because capitalism is such a thing in this country. People were talking about we need to take all the money out of politics. And I don't understand it. All these senators and making millions doing trades and blah, blah. I don't understand all that. But if it wasn't as financially advantageous to be in the upper ranks like that, I wonder if people would just move along. And we would actually get people who want to do the work.
That's right.
Yeah.
So look at Mitch McConnell. I think those jokers make less than $200,000 a year. I believe Mitch McConnell, I believe, is worth $20-30 million. So I mean, come on, like
I wouldn't leave either. I'm like, nope, I'm staying right here.
Right. And Pelosi, now granted, a lot of her money comes from, I think her husband owns a couple companies, but Pelosi's worth like $100 million.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's.
There's a reason people don't want to give it up. I mean, it comes with perks and money and power. People are hard pressed to let it go. Like they're not. Yeah. I'm not.
Like we said, I don't know if I'd give it up real easily either.
Yeah,
that'd be tough. But I think that takes away from marginalized groups, because you are out of touch, and you're going to want to do the thing that's going to continue to make you that money. But that's not public service. That's what it's supposed to be. Like that's not the point of your job. So I don't even know if that will ever happen, to take money out of politics. I don't even know what that would look like, because we're all about capitalism. And of course, the three of us benefit from capitalism as well. Like we make money, we do, so I get it, but it's just,
But at the same time, I want people to benefit, like AOC, who just got in, and she was like a waitress in.
Yeah.
She was talking about how this is the first time that she's had insurance or something like that. Like, right. So it's a crazy process, man. It's real crazy.
I feel like the tide is turning. Like I think we're seeing more Black and brown faces. I think we're seeing more women in politics. I think we're seeing a lot of people really just step up to the plate. Like even like Jacory Arthur's a name I didn't know before in our city locally, who's really coming to his own and is now going into a seat in office. So I do feel like the tide is changing, but then stuff like what happened a couple weeks ago just makes me feel like it's still out there. Like we might be getting a little bit better, but then this disease that our country has called racism is still exists. It's still there, and it's just gonna rear its head whenever it wants to.
And when you start looking at it, I think there may be a fear of being in these leadership positions, because you start looking at what's happened in Louisville the last couple of months, man. You had quite a few of the outspoken leaders. Now, let me not call them leaders per se. I'm not sure if they would call them so that, but protesters.
Visible, I would say
visible, very visible. That's a great word. Visible protesters have been found, come up, they've died.
Or getting hung up in court. Yeah. I'm thinking about there's a few, but Travis Nagdy, I think I'm saying his last name correctly. He comes to mind. He was a young protester, killed a few months back. There's another young man that mysteriously shot and killed just a couple months ago. And if it's not death, they're getting hung up in jail. They're getting arrested, they're getting picked up for whatever. They're having court cases back to back. So like, if this is happening to the people who are trying to step in, trying to be a leader, what makes leadership appealing? Like,
right,
why would I want to do this? You're becoming a target. You're sacrificing yourself.
Yeah, and some of those systems we are still very much not in charge of, like the criminal justice system and the policing system. They still have so much power that they can do what they want to do and keep people out wrapped up. And for years and years and years. I mean, look, we just had Trump start executing people again. He did something. I'm like, why? What's going on? He was bored and just killing folks for sport, it feels like. And so I think that's why with this new administration, I hope that criminal justice reform, and I know Kamala was prosecutor? She did a lot of work.
Prosecutor.
A criminal prosecutor.
Yeah. So hopefully we can work on that, because that should not be happening. I mean, you can't just, what?
For me, until all the officers that were involved in Breonna Taylor's case are fired, that still shows me y'all have some work to do on Louisville's police department. So, to have people in there locked up and you still have several of these officers who are involved directly or indirectly still walking the halls and pushing paper and making arrests, that's frightening to me.
Yeah. What message does that send to them and to the community?
Right.
I'm above the law.
Right. So now we're talking about being leaders and whatnot. What are ways that you all, because again, we're individuals who don't want to just sit on their hands and just be like, oh, what do I do? How are you all getting out there and being leaders?
I think one of the things is doing this show, for one, because people do watch and it starts a conversation. And I think it galvanizes other people and maybe calls other people to action in some way, maybe use their platform and to maybe have difficult conversations with other people. I think this is a form of activism, and it's just one of the ways that I feel like we are doing, our part.
I was going to say the same, using this as a platform to talk. And I think when we initially started, we did say in our description, it's going to be fun, it's going to be educational, but I don't think that we envision having some of the conversations that we've had, the talks with white allies.
True.
We did not know that the stuff was going to happen with Breonna or Ahmaud or George Floyd. Yeah, we've had some very big conversations on this show. And I think, for the however many people that watch it, just the fact that we can talk openly, use our platforms to bring awareness to things, or even to just continue the discussion on, I think is very helpful. And then also using our private platforms, using your Facebook posts, using your Instagrams, using the badges. I know Simone's profile picture is still one of the badges. I think Black Women Matter, I think, is still her profile picture. So just using things to kind of just continue to bring awareness to the situation and what's going on, and trying to just really use our social medias to be a voice, because honestly, for many of us, that's all we have. Like, I felt, we were talking about earlier about the protest, for as much as I felt like we need to do things the right way, I also felt like I want to turn over tables. But I also knew I wasn't going anywhere. I was not going to leave my couch because I knew it wasn't safe. So for me, a person who's not physically on the ground, this is my way of being involved and trying to show support for those who are out there on the ground.
Yeah, totally with that. This show, I think, supporting, calling out folks, and whether it's financial support, which I think the three of us do to some extent, financial support, word of mouth support, directing people to XYZ thing. I believe all of that can help. I think, for me, wanting to be more active in the Black community as well, the food pantry that we have at our church. I think there's so many ways. The Bible, and not even just the Bible, says, we are all parts that work in the same body, and we all have a part to play. And not everybody's cut to be out with a megaphone and screaming and not everybody needs to be doing it. There's going to be some folks that's cooking the pancakes and keeping folks fed. There's going to be folks that are folding clothes. There's going to be folks that are going knocking door to door. There'll be folks doing this, that, and the other. Everybody has a part. So if anyone is struggling, trying to figure out where they fit in, see what you're good at, see where the help is needed, and then just get in where you fit in. It doesn't have to be a big spot. You don't have to be a star. You don't have to do this, that, and the other. You just have to get in and support and help out.
We even kind of brainstormed a list of things that you could do. So we talked a lot about vocal leadership, like what Brandon was saying, being out front with the megaphone. But what about organizing? We mentioned a little bit donating, volunteering, public service, supporting Black-owned businesses, starting a Black-owned business. Just for somebody who's listening, who watches all the time, starting a Black-owned business. I let one of my favorites is wearing cultural apparel. That's one of my things. I know Brandon has a lot of cultural apparel that he likes to wear. So I think he got a shirt that says like Black Nutrition Facts.
I do.
Yes, I love that shirt. Using social media and then just showing support. I mean, sometimes just even being a listening ear for these people who are going through, who are out there on the front lines and who are making the laws, just being a supportive friend is helpful as well.
And what I love about all of those, especially I think when you use your social media and also like your clothing, what you put on your body, is that it just sends a very strong message of where you stand about things. I think when we do this show and we talk about the topics we talk about and we call out groups that we do not agree with, that are that stand for things we don't agree with, it just sends a very clear message. We are not lukewarm on the topic of racial justice. We're not lukewarm about how impactful Black people are and how we want to be taken seriously. We feel very strongly about that. And so I think that is so important, because you don't want people, I personally don't want people to think I'm, lukewarm on the topic. It's very important for me, for my family, for you all and your family. And I just think the messaging and the image that this is really important and we're not backing down off of that is really impactful.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I have that thought. I just watched the James Brown movie not too long ago with Chadwick Boseman, to Get On Up. But I'm just very much reminded of the James Brown song, like "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." And I think for many, well, I'll speak for myself, I already wear my skin color out, but I don't usually bring any more attention to it than that, because you kind of want to just kind of be quiet. You want to be
blend in a little bit.
You want to blend in. You don't want to cause so much noise. But no, now, I want to wear my Black Lives Matter stuff as much as possible. I want to be seen. I want to represent Africa as much as I possibly can, because I want people to know, like Simone said, like I'm not lukewarm on this issue. Like, I may not be out here with the megaphone and leading the line, but I need you to know that Black issues of people of color are important to me. And I will find some way in my power, in my realm, to fight for and represent those issues.
For sure.
Yep.
Well, we made it.
This is a good segue. This was a really good discussion. Really, really good.
Do we have any? Well, we got closing things. Simone, would you like to lead us in our closing ceremonies?
Yes. So I'm excited. My hope is that I can be on the watch party. I missed it totally last week, but I'm hoping to be on there. You know what? Whatever. We appreciate you all tuning in, whether it be live during the watch party or even after. And we will still send you out a link. If you are not sure how to make it work, we'll send you the link. I'm still sending out links.
That's right.
Please remember to watch us. You can catch us on, of course, Facebook, on YouTube. And we just appreciate you all watching with us. We also want to think about and talk about our gratitudes. What are we grateful for? What are we taking with us to, really think about how we've been blessed?
Yeah. I'm grateful that I'm feeling better. Been down most of this week with cold symptoms, but thankful that I'm really feeling myself, feeling much better than I did earlier this week. I sounded like a grown man. I think I was coming to the polls like, "Hey, everybody, how's everybody doing?" It sounded bad.
Bass in the voice.
Yeah, I could sing the bass notes. So I'm glad I'm feeling better, than just thankful to have tomorrow off. We just came back to work, but just thankful to have a day of reflection. a day to really think of. I mean, just celebrate the fact that there's a Black man that has a holiday.
Okay.
In this country, to just celebrate that. I'm thankful that Inauguration Week is upon us as well.
That's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for the inauguration. I heard that Joe Biden's dog. Did y'all hear about this? His dog got inaugurated.
Inauguration. They're having an inauguration.
I'm here for that. Brandon, you're a dog owner. You should be especially happy.
Dog owner by default.
The dog is so quiet too, by the way. I never hear that dog.
I've been forgetting they have a dog, honestly.
That's because I am downstairs and the dog is upstairs.
Okay. So yeah, I'm thankful for that. I'm just thankful for a new administration, and that I know it's not going to change everything and fix everything, but I am just thankful that hopefully there's going to be just less stress when you turn on the news, and less and more. My hope is that there's more consequences for foolishness that goes on in this country. So I'm just thankful that the tide is turning.
Yes.
Yep. I'm glad that my daughter gets to see Kamala become inaugurated, and I think that's a very powerful statement for Black girls everywhere. And I want my daughter to see that she can do whatever she wants. There's literally, the sky is the limit.
Ava's gonna do it. She's gonna do whatever it is she wants.
Anybody gonna do it. It's gonna be Ava.
It's gonna be Ava.
It's gonna be Ava.
I'm looking forward to her telling us all about it, because that's nothing.
Yeah.
Well, as always, we want to thank you all for joining us. We want to remind you to please stay safe in these Corona times.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Stay
away from people. Even if you have your vaccine, you still need to wear your mask, right? You still need to keep social distance, because we don't know all the things. So even if you have your vaccine, still be safe.
Yes, and if you are going to inaugural festivities this week, please be safe. If you're in DC and you're watching this, please be safe. Protect yourself and those around you if possible, and enjoy yourself as much as you can, but still stay safe.
Yes.
Yep. All right, folks. Until next time. Oh, before we go, always a reminder: still justice for Breonna Taylor.
Still.
Charges. I need charges.
Need them.
We need the charges. Yep. But until we see you again, what is it, Brandon?
We remain yours.
Remain yours.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.